Welcome to our second roundtable. Picking up on the observations and insights shared during the previous session, this panel of distinguished digital ministers and representatives of non-governmental organizations will speak the role of the public sector in advancing an inclusive and sustainable digital future. How are countries preparing for a robust and sustainable digital economy of the future? And how will these plans and preparations become reality? It is my pleasure to introduce our distinguished panel. His Excellency Abdullah Al-Swaha, the Minister of Communications and Information Technology for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. A pleasure to have you. His Excellency Borga Brende, President of the World Economic Forum. Thank you for joining us today. His Excellency Hu Lin Zhao, the Secretary General of the International Telecommunication Union. Wonderful to have you with us. His Excellency Salim Al-Odena, the Chairman of the Board and Chief Executive Officer of the Communication and Information Technology Regulatory Authority for the State of Kuwait. Thank you for joining. And His Excellency Ahmed Hanande, the Minister of Digital Economy and Entrepreneurship for the Kingdom of Jordan. Glad to have you today. Your Excellency Minister Al-Swaha, could you please share your thoughts on how growth in the digital economy can be accelerated to speed up the recovery of the global economy post-COVID-19?
Thank you, Dr. Aisha, and it's an absolute pleasure to welcome His Excellency Borge Zhao, Salim, and His Excellency Ahmed. It's an absolute pleasure to join with you here today in the Global Digital Economy Forum for some historic announcements that will follow on today. Dr. Aisha, just to go back to your question, if there's one thing that we have learned from 2020 is that economies are as strong as their respective digital economy and as resilient as their people, and when it comes to their perseverance and passion. We must bounce back stronger from 2020 because we're looking today at an analog world that is so polarized, an analog world that there is so much deglobalization. 75% of the global supply chains were disrupted. We're looking at a global economic contraction of negative 4.5% and a loss of jobs of close to 350 million jobs. We must take action today. And this is why in the Global Digital Economy Forum, we're bringing like-minded nations and international organizations to connect, to start a dialogue and a conversation for a digital cooperation. A cooperation to realize a digital future for all, on how we can empower women, youth, entrepreneurs, how can we grow the digital economy, and how can we leapfrog with innovation. On empowering women, we have seen the data and the facts from ITU and WEF. The moment you double down on women and you have equal participation between women and men, you see positive growth. As a matter of fact, anywhere from adding $2 to $3 trillion to the global economy. In Saudi Arabia, we have seen it firsthand. For the past 3 years consecutively, where we have grown from 9% women participation to 23% in 2020, surpassing the EU average. For 3 years consecutively, we have grown anywhere from 2 to 3x the base economy from a non-oil GDP perspective. As a matter of fact, these initiatives, among others, as acknowledged by the World Economic Forum, and the Digital Competitiveness Center of the EU to make Saudi Arabia the #1 digital riser among the G20. On youth and entrepreneurship, if you look at the hard facts, in the first half of 2020, we have seen the same amount of deal size and volume than what we have seen in 2019 combined, where the flourishment of fintech, AI, and cybersecurity have fueled resiliency and growth in 2020, where it was the lifeline for our kids to continue education beyond the classroom, for our loved ones to receive care beyond ICU rooms, and for digital payments to be the lifeline of SMEs and entrepreneurship. And when we're talking about growing the digital economy, we have again to look at the percentages. If you want double digits and triple digits growth, you have to see the trade flows. Historically, the digital economy used to be west to west, from Western Europe to Northern America. Today, the growth is between the East and the West. And the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, among its strategic allies, brothers, and partners, we are at the center of attention. As a matter of fact, the 5 nations represented here with us today have an opportunity to seize in the next couple of years $1 trillion worth of a digital economy. And if we want to talk about leapfrogging with innovation, under Vision 2030, we have launched a national digital agenda, and we have launched the future city of NEOM. In NEOM, we are solving for the critical things. We're solving for bringing down the economics of green and sustainable photons, electrons, and hydrogen as part of our responsibility as the thermal energy leader in the world to make sure that we power things on the grid in a green and sustainable manner, and for things that cannot be powered with a lithium battery, we're bringing the economics down of green hydrogen. This is why we're very proud today in the digital economy, in the Global Digital Economy Forum, to bring again like-minded nations and organizations to join hands together to realize a digital future for all by empowering women, youth, and entrepreneurs, by growing our combined digital economy and leapfrog with innovation.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency Minister Al Swaha, for your vision of a digital future for all. Your Excellency, Mr. Brende, how can global alliances build sustainability and inclusion into the digital economy?
Thank you so much for the question. Also, I would like to acknowledge Minister Abdullah Al Swaha at the outset. Thank you for your leadership and also for bringing us together here today. Kudos for what the Kingdom has shown when it comes to the importance of the digital economy. And we know that there are so many opportunities when it comes to also inclusive and also sustainable and job creating growth if you have the right focus when it comes to a digital economy. We are in the middle of a health crisis and we have to deal with the health crisis everywhere. Then we have to have a recovery. The recovery will come sooner if you also have a digital focus. And thirdly, we also need to invest for the future, and we have to invest in the right digital competences and the right digital developments moving forward. And the World Economic Forum, we see a clear correlation between those nations that do right skilling, upskilling of its youth in the digital field. As the minister also mentioned, the digital economy now is 25% of the global economy, and it is growing very, very fast. Just the last 7-8 months, we have seen an increase, for example, on use of the internet, on also e-trade with close to 50%. And this is not going to stop. It's just going to accelerate moving forward. But what we have to make sure is that also the fourth industrial revolution with its technologies like artificial intelligence, big data, fintech, works in the interest of humankind. And we know in the digital economy and the platform economy, it has a tendency of the winner takes it all. We also have to make sure that the fourth industrial revolution technologies work in the interest of the developing world, but also of emerging economies, so they can leapfrog in this respect. And we know the development goes really, really fast. It took 75 years to get 100 million people connected when it comes to the traditional telephones. If you remember those that were the landlines. It took a little bit more than a decade to have 2.7 billion people part of the smartphones. And this is what we're going to see now when it comes to e-commerce. We're going to see it in new and new areas. So what we have to make sure is that these new technologies then bind the world together and is not part of a geopolitical situation that is deteriorating. We have to make sure that the technologies support also the sustainable development goals, eradicating all extreme poverty by 2030, but also by empowering young people, as the minister also alluded to, women, and make sure that the world will move forward in a very constructive way based on these new technologies, because they can be also the way forward when it comes to also making sure that we build stronger resilience, making sure that we don't end up with new pandemics and also have blind spots that we are not addressing. Shukran, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Brende, for your comments on the importance of inclusivity. And now I would like to ask Your Excellency, Mr. Zhao, what is needed to improve multilateral policy cooperation on tech regulation and investment?
Thank you very much. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
I think that this COVID-19 gives us a very good lesson. People may take ICT's infrastructure services developed so far as granted, so that the people don't see why they should worry about the ICT, and that all of a sudden COVID-19 put us all at home and teleworking, and it seems to be everything is marvelous. We can do that immediately, but actually this is 2 decades effort by our administrations, by our private sectors, by investors, by experts to have this ICT developed so far. And for all this benefit we talked about today, that is good for those connected. And we still have half population not connected yet. So that if we want to have the situation be further improved, we need a very good cooperation among all of us. And I think that here, the public-private partnership is absolutely important. And we should encourage the private sector to further invest in the ICT, because today we know that the majority or the major part of investment in ICT are coming from private sector. And if you look at the digital divide, still you see those countries who really mobilize the public and private together, and seem to be moving faster and better. Those who heavily rely on private sector, not doing something enough from a public sector, then I think that they have difficulties. So that is something is quite deep. Of course, we talked a lot about the summit, information society. We talked a lot about the forced industrialization, of our society, and we talked a lot about ICT. Now we understand what ICT means for all of us, and this is quite important. And then, if we continue to do business as we have done so far, definitely will not be enough. It will not be good. And we cannot really bring those not connected to be connected in 10 years' time, because we said that by 2030 we should have everybody connected. You will not be able to reach that goal by 2030 if we do the business like now. So everybody have to come together to work on the good environment to attract the investment. So that is one thing. Another thing is, with this COVID-19, we also understand that to leave this to the ICT ministers only will not work neither. And we have to mobilize everybody to work. And then that is the government. They have to realize that if you do not have a holistic, this kind of approach, you leave every ministry to do their business by separate their own budget to do their improvement with ICT. I think that will not be nice. It will not be smart. It will not be best. So you have to get everybody come together to look at the situation. How can we, have a national strategy to get everybody work together with a focus on ICT? So I think that with COVID-19, with the host by the Saudi Arabia chairmanship, IT was very pleased. The first time this year, I was invited to participate not only ICT minister meetings. I was invited to go to the health minister meetings. I was invited to go to, financial minister meetings. So everyone realized that the ICT is quite important. Now that is something good. So we have to take this opportunity to really to move, to the right direction with a smart policy. And of course, when you come to this point, you also know that cybersecurity is very important. With the data applications now everywhere, how can you make sure that those applications be safe? And how can you encourage further applications by ICTs, like financial applications, operations, and the trade applications, even the commercial applications, and for ICT applications for agriculture, for energy, for education. So all this, I think that we are also facing our challenges. So we encourage our regulators to work with the other sectors to try to create a good environment to facilitate the ICT development. And here, I think that Saudi's attention to this important situation by inviting so many different minister meetings with participation of ITU is a very good sign that Saudi realize that this is something we have to move this way. So that is the first thing I like to also take the opportunity to applaud Saudi's presidents of G20 this year. They have not missed any opportunity. The other thing is I like to highlight. We have all this good statement and a good declaration, good action, but we need someone to push to go ahead. And if we leave this kind of statement as a word, without the actions to be followed, you will not see much changes. The situation will stay more or less the same as before. So again, here I also appreciate the initiative from our Excellency Minister, Mr. Abdullah Sawaha, sorry. That he invited like-minded people to come to have organizations to try to push, to push something happen, and he like to see concrete result, like to see progress, and that he gave me trouble last year. He asked me publicly, and the Secretary General, you said you don't leave anybody behind. Can you tell me when? I never got such kind of question in the public. And then he asked by 2030, can we have everybody be connected? I was very embarrassed. I said, no, I'm afraid I cannot. Because with that kind of environment over the last few years, the connectivity rate is somehow slowed down. Because no profit to go to the poor area to get the investment is there. And then that, this COVID-19 give us opportunity that everybody realize how important ICT is, and everybody realize how important to connect everybody. Everybody realize that we really have to work together in a multilateralism and global corporations. Everybody, come to this point. So let's just follow Secretary, the Excellency, the Minister's good example. We should take actions. We should go to push for the development. So thank you very much to give me opportunities to come to this. I like to conclude my short, not so short, remarks by 4 I's. I highlighted my priorities of 4 I's: infrastructure to extend infrastructure to connect those not connected yet. We need a huge effort, and then to upgrade the current infrastructure from the current technology to higher technology with 5G, cloud computing, that blockchain, artificial intelligence. We need to work hard to also. So infrastructure is the first and the most important for us. And then it's investment. You need an investment. You need a huge investment. And then we cannot rely fully to the private sector. We have to create a good environment. We also have to make best use of our public funds to be put at the right place to make the best effect. Then innovation is important. Innovation is not necessarily for the technologies. Innovation is also for our policies. Now you have to get a smart policy, and then innovation is not necessarily coming from big guys. Innovation can come from small, medium-sized entrepreneurs. So this kind of source of innovation will really change things, because these people know technology, know market, know they have a very strong desire to connect the local community with new technology, with their own applications and own services. So that we have to work with them. And then last I is inclusiveness. We should not leave anybody behind. And in particular, for those disabled people, for aged people, particularly aged people, that they don't know the skills of e-commerce, e-applications, and we should not leave them behind. And we have to help them. So these are 4 I's I like to highlight, and let me repeat: infrastructure, investment, innovation, and inclusiveness. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zhao, for your remarks. Your Excellency, Mr. Aldona, can you share with us what strengths and weaknesses were exposed by the global health emergency of 2020?
Thank you so much, Dr. Aisha. What weaknesses and strength in digital infrastructures were exposed by the global health emergency during the pandemic? New strength and weaknesses were exposed, some which were not expected, while other we are ready for. As a regulator, we strive to create a welcoming environment led by fair potentials and driven by innovation, ensuring a solid digital infrastructures. One major thrift was the initiative of Kuwait IX, Kuwait Internet Exchange, and the large investment made in the 5G infrastructure in Kuwait. Kuwait IX is the first natural IXP in Kuwait created by Citra to promote a health traffic flow in the country in 2019. Therefore, in 2020, when every single resident in Kuwait was online at the same time, something that was never expected before, assuming a high amount of data, IX Kuwait was a pillar of succeed in digital infrastructures. Further in mind, 2019, Kuwait was one of the first countries worldwide to launch commercial 5G service with the coverage second high worldwide. Therefore, during the high traffic period, traffic was well adjusted between 3G and 4G and 5G network, allowing for better customer experience. the high availability of the 5G network further assistance in improving quality of service and the new way of working digital from home. People stay connected and service was not interrupted by a high value of traffic. The downfall was even through Kuwait has one of the highest access and usage indicated worldwide with 19.7% use of the internet. There was lack of government health applications and records. This was quickly overcome by partnering with the private sector to private digital solutions such as Shlonik, an app at allowing the Ministry of Health to engage and assist a resident during the pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency Minister Al-Odena, for your remarks on this subject. And now I will turn to Your Excellency Minister Hanande. What is your government's plan for investing in educating, training, and reskilling workers for the digital economy?
Thank you, Aisha. Your Excellencies, first I want to thank the organizers of this and allowing us to talk about our strategies, plans, and what's going on in our countries. To answer you, Aisha, I attended an event the other day conducted by the Netherlands government, which is called Youth at Heart. And when I joined, I said, youth are at heart, at our strategies, at the heart of our strategies, at our own hearts, at the hearts of our policies, at the heart of our His Majesty King Abdullah, and they are at the heart of everybody. And we are strong believers that the development of each and every country is simply a result of its youth, dreams, ambitions, and their actually hard work towards achieving these dreams and ambitions. Our job as a government, as regulators, or as a policymakers, just to give them the right environment and ecosystem and regulatory framework and policies for them to excel and find their way out, their way through the journey. No doubt that the world has been living dramatic change due to the technology transformation and the digital transformation taking place. The cultures are changing, the mentality is changing, and everything is changing. And then we got this pandemic and the spread of the coronavirus to tell us that you're not fast enough and you need to get faster. Your people are not skilled enough and you need to get them more skillful. Changes are happening so fast. And to be honest, with all the pain that this pandemic brought to us, it brought in opportunities to our youth. It brought in, it caused a culture change in the lifestyle of people, and it changed the lifestyle of people, and people became more dependent on technology, more dependent on the online world, and that brought the challenge on our table is that we need to play the role of balancing the supply and demand and filling the gap in terms of the right skills that our youth need to have to be able to cope up and adapt to the change. And we're doing this through multiple projects, multiple initiatives, and multiple programs. Our ministry is the ministry that is responsible for the digital transformation, where actually we're building up the infrastructure that is data-driven and citizen-centric, and that is an enabler for the innovation of our own startups, innovators, and youth, providing them with the right environment for them to achieve their own, to transform their own ideas into sustainable projects. At the other side, we're doing we're launching multiple initiatives that has to do with getting the youth ready, either while they are at the stage of education or straight after graduation. One of the projects I want to highlight that we're doing and we launched a while back is the Youth Technology and Jobs project. And this project is specifically dedicated to the upskilling of the youth at all their stages, cooperating with the Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Education, and Ministry of Higher Education, plus so many other stakeholders. And the target is to train tens of thousands of youth on the digital skills. In addition to supporting the startups, SMEs, and the large organizations, and incentivize them actually to scale up and grow and open markets for them. Last but not least is to help support the ministry efforts towards the digital transformation, where when it comes to our digital transformation, we're planning, as I said, we want to be a data-driven. We're actually reviewing our strategy to be a data-driven, citizen-centric. Our job is to enable the digital transformation and not to own it. So we're going to provide the platforms, the policies, the procedures, the incentives to accelerate the digital transformation. Additionally, you cannot achieve digital transformation without the right process, the right regulations, and you cannot achieve it without the right team and the right skillful people who can do that for us. And this is exactly what we're trying to do, to build all our strategies towards having all these four solid, well-developed, and people are the backbone of this, and they're going to be the main focus of our attention. We're proud to be the homeland of so many successful projects that managed to grow regionally and internationally, and that was actually the efforts of our own youth. They actually pushed us to change the direction of our strategy towards building on their achievements. I thank them for that. There's so many, I cannot count them. There are hundreds and hundreds of Jordanian youth who managed to actually get the government to think again and again and again of what they're really doing and what they need to do moving forward. Thank you very much, Aisha. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, for giving me this chance to talk.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Minister Hanande, for your remarks on youth and talent development.